Good afternoon. Welcome back to Not This Time with Jamie. I'm here again with my guest, John Vodicka. And also, we got Steve Hunter join us in this second part of our conversation about the similarities between Trudeau's Canada and Communist Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
So last time we were talking about the control that Trudeau was putting on the people. Do you remember how he started bringing in gun control? Can you maybe show us or elaborate on how that might be similar to Czechoslovakia and the gun control that went on there?
The guns were no in communist country. You couldn't have anything.
Even farmers?
Only you could only sport shooters. That was the only.
So shooting skeets.
Yes. Otherwise, it was completely banned.
Right.
So, and now, especially here in Canada, we are very close to lose the, let's say, this is all right. It's not, and it's necessary because if you don't have a gun, how you protect yourself? You cannot ask government to protect you. They failed. They always fail.
And what is your greatest fear of the people having their guns taken away? What do you think could happen if say tomorrow Canada said the people can no longer have any guns?
Well, the criminals always will have guns.
Right.
Guns.
Through the black market.
Always.
What's your biggest fear if say I own a gun? I'm not a criminal. What would you if they took it away from say someone like me and you?
That's one of the basic rights. People they have a right to protect their families, from anyone. If there must be a reason. But
what happens do you think what happens in countries where they lose the right to have guns?
Well,
what usually happens? What's the
not much, because they had so much control over everything.
So what I noticed is once that happens, you no longer can protest.
Exactly. No.
Because they have no fear of the people.
Absolutely. That was. But here you have, let's say, you have a gun only for your protection, and that's the right, And even crime goes down if people have guns.
Yeah.
Because if only criminals have guns, they know nothing. They don't have to fear anything.
Yeah.
If the people have guns, they have to be more careful. So less crime. It's right there. Less crime.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest. Plus people they use their guns, like farmers. They have to have the guns.
Right.
To protect
Being
their.
up north in Canada, people need guns because of bears around.
Bears and wolves.
I have a friend who lives up there, and because of the bear population,
yes,
everybody owns a gun, whether they're inside town or live out in the outskirts. Everybody has a gun. They all hunt, and they all need to protect themselves from wildlife.
It's a huge lie when they say more guns mean more violence. No, more guns mean less violence.
Yeah. We don't see too many people getting murdered in Northern Ontario because everybody has a gun.
Exactly. So this is basically a no. If any government try to make this law, like no guns, it's a bad government. They are not for people. They are against the people.
That's what I think too. What else do you find similar about Trudeau's Canada and communism?
Well, let's say, those politics over there, I call them stupid. But Trudeau is even more stupid, which is terrible. If you think about it, anyone who is in this position, Prime Minister of Canada, has to be somebody who has something to show for. He's something. He must be good in something. He's good in nothing. He's gone now, but we are still in the same situation.
That was the best part, was watching him leave.
Exactly.
That was the only thing that was.
But the bad part is now Carney, who's a 2.0 Trudeau.
It's
even worse.
Exactly. Because he's more, I don't know,
He's from the bankers.
more dangerous.
You know,
Exactly.
Bank of Canada, Bank of
They
England.
hate him in England.
A politician from England said, it was a woman, I can't
Yeah.
remember her name, but she said that when he was running the Bank of England, the English economy was crashing because of his
Exactly.
policies.
That's what I
And I know that he was at the World Economic Forum
Exactly.
discussing world, globalization of the
Exactly.
world. And also there's pictures of him with Ghislaine Maxwell, the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein. So
It is another
I mean,
video.
that's not a hint for you. I
A
don't
few
know what
days
it is.
ago, when somebody was yelling on him, wow, you were molesting people with Epstein, right? And he was like, you know, it's proof he was there. He was
Yeah.
going there.
We know.
We know.
We
So
got
while he
pictures.
was going there, just a business trip. Yeah.
Yeah,
How many times he was there?
yeah.
So, and this is now a Prime Minister of Canada. Nothing changed, right? Until
And the people aren't saying anything,
Mm-hmm.
and the CBC isn't saying anything about this. Their job
course.
is to hold the government's feet to the
they
fire.
cover up. They cover up
and
for
they don't
him.
say anything about
Exactly,
this.
they must.
keep it quiet. Why is that?
Because they are paid. They get money for lying to the people, the public.
You know a lot about this, Steve.
Well, it's just propagandized. It's owned by the government, so they decide what gets said and what gets missed. It's
Yeah, they're funded by the government.
propagandized.
So,
Exactly.
CBC, yeah, they're all like that.
yeah.
Exactly.
There's not much that isn't.
But it's so, obvious. You listen to that and say, this is a lie. I don't need to be, informed. Let's say I am just someone who is listening and know nothing. And I am listening to those people and say, well, they say a sentence, and in one sentence, they say something what is completely,
Yeah, contradictory.
contradictory what they are saying, and say how they can, talk like that. How can they say something, or they are saying something, and after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they said nothing.
Absolutely not. Just a lot of tap dancing.
Just to talk. And same like, Trudeau was famous for this, right? When he was speaking, he was like, okay, what is this guy basically? What his ideas?
Yeah, what's he's actually saying?
What he's saying?
Yeah, just rhetoric. really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it was
know-
scary.
Yeah.
I notice when they're lying is they do a lot of humming and hawing. They're going because they're trying to think of their next lie.
Mm-hmm.
If they're telling the truth, it should be coming and flowing. But because they're trying to lie to us, they're humming and hawing, thinking up how do I make this sound good?
When
but
you
at the
lie, you
same
gotta
time,
remember.
Exactly. That's right.
That's why when you listen to people, they know history. They know they know what they are talking about, and they don't need to lie because they say how it is. It's easy for them. They don't need to read it.
No.
A great
They just-
author on historical
Yeah.
Stuff that speaks the
Exactly.
truth is Anthony Sutton. If
you
you ever
know
get a
how-
chance to read some of his books.
You know how difficult it is to lie, and be careful to actually lie lie after lie after lie. And now, okay, we are still in lines with something we want to actually. It's terrible. It must be, I don't know how these people can do this. It's
Well, Joe Biden showed us that it
Oh.
was, he showed us how difficult it was.
yeah.
The guy had a
The
hard time
truth,
talking in
the
public.
truth is coming like easy. The lie must be always somehow
Yeah, it's constricted.
constructed, and it's always, and they have to cover for lie with another lie,
Right.
and
Each lie leads to 10
that's
more,
not easy.
Right? Yeah, no.
And then that's why you can catch them in the lie because you look back on something they said a year ago and it doesn't
Yeah, yeah.
jive with what they're saying today.
They are changing. Let's we say you can find lots of things you are interested in. Let's say Wikipedia, right? But it's not true anymore. They are changing. Even specifically historic. What
Yeah,
was
yeah,
happening
Yeah.
many years ago. Let's say 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And that you know this happened, and now you read it, and they
They changed it, yeah.
change
Did you
it.
see that in Czechoslovakia when you lived there? You see
Well,
that
it-
same kind of thing?
Well, in that time, the technology, everything was newspaper, radio, television. So, but we didn't pay much you know,
You just accepted
attention.
it?
Accept. You had to, and you just go like a sheep. You go. You are a sheep. You are a sheep.
Because you can't
And
speak
you
out
just
anyways.
exactly.
You can't have a conversation with
You
your
just
friends.
cannot step out from the group. You
Right.
have to go with the group.
And there was one story, and it was put forward, and that was the way
That's
it was.
exactly.
There was
And
no left and right.
you want to get there.
Yeah.
You don't do anything.
I seen something on Adolf Hitler just to say about your propaganda, and there was a story that was printed in all the German newspapers in the 30s that he swam the Danube, but the truth was Hitler didn't like to swim at all. He didn't like to be seen in a bathing suit because he's afraid the public would see his body. He was very self-conscious, and he didn't like to swim. So him swimming the Danube was obviously a complete lie, but the people just
It's
ate it
impossible.
up because
It's-
otherwise.
Absolutely. And about is one thing about it. It's a very dangerous river for swimming.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So many people die there.
It's a very big
good
river.
swimmers.
Yeah. It's like
Died.
swimming
Right.
the Ottawa River. It's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
it's
I have
not the
seen-
swimming
You
river.
see
No.
what it looks like. It's a large
No.
river. It's very rapidy. I
Oh
guess is the
yeah,
word.
yeah. It's
very
very
raging
dangerous.
current.
I know
So
about
for him
many
to swim
people
that
they
would be-
died in
Right.
because it's just not and good swimmers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's
So-
just the whole thing. They made Hitler out to be
They
this
made it up. Yeah.
Superman.
Superman, exactly.
Superman.
And yeah, so just to get into the whole propaganda thing. What other things about Trudeau have you seen? Anything else that's caught your eye about his government and what we're seeing right now?
Well, like he was always, like how you call it, flashlighting or something like that. Always, he's a narcissist. That's
Well, I
obvious.
remember him saying he never said anything about the protesters against the vaccine. He said, I never said they were misogynists, and I never said they were racist.
But why he
And
did
there's
this?
video of him saying that.
Yeah.
Him saying that, and not being asked that question. He was giving a speech and saying that people that are against the vaccine are racist and misogynist.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found that so hilarious that when he was being questioned in front of the Senate, I believe it was, the Canadian Senate, and he was saying, "Oh, I never said those things. I never said that," and they accepted it. Why? Because they never prosecute their own. Right? You'll never see a politician ever be brought down for anything he's done. Mulrooney, he had the helicopter scandal where they were skimming millions and millions of dollars
Yes.
off this whole helicopter deal, and nobody went to jail. Nobody. We paid for it out of our
Exactly.
taxes, and they stole it and they got away with it.
They have no responsibility. They don't,
That's right.
whatever happened. So many, how you call it, this, when he was doing something what was unethical or different stuff, and everything was like, okay, just, sweep it under the carpet, and it was done. Nothing ever. And what amazed me, during the COVID era, he made his fortune, basically. He was always a millionaire.
Oh, I'm sure
He was
got
a silver
kickbacks from
spoon
pharmaceutical
guy,
companies.
a little guy.
I'm sure all the politicians out there around
yes,
the world
yes.
that forced the vaccine. I'm sure they all got kickbacks from the
Never
pharmaceutical
let a
companies.
crisis go to waste.
Exactly.
I'm sure they made a bit of money off
exactly.
that.
But he was getting money from everywhere, from Saudi Arabia, from Chinese, from everywhere.
Well, we know they've been interfering in our elections for the last 2 or 3. They definitely helped
yeah.
the Liberals get elected over Trudeau's reign.
What Trump asked us to do, fix the border, right?
Right.
What he did,
Nothing.
nothing.
And that's
Nothing.
why we have these tariffs.
Exactly.
People are complaining about that, and I
Exactly.
mean for good reason. I mean, when that first
Exactly.
happened, and I didn't know why, I was a little bit upset too because I always supported Trump.
Of course.
So then I was upset. So what's he doing? Well, then I found out the truth.
If you go deeper
he
in-
wants to get us to shore up our ports and borders. Because if he gets his all shored up like he's done, so that the fentanyl isn't coming in and the illegal immigrants, then what are they going to do? They're going to bring it in through Canada and Mexico and then flood the states with it.
Exactly.
So he needs us and Mexico to do the same thing, or else there's no point in
At least
closing
be on the same
borders.
page.
Exactly.
And that's where he's
Yeah.
coming from. If people could understand that,
Yeah.
then maybe they won't be so upset with him.
But if you have a problem, you try to fix it. Trudeau, instead of trying to fix the problem, he make it even worse.
And Poilievre's doing the same thing. They're both
Yes,
saying
yes.
that you know,
But then we
we're
have a
standing for
question.
Canada and all this, which is great. But that's not fixing the problem. If you're going to fix the problem,
Mm-hmm.
you need to talk to Trump and come to an
Exactly.
agreement. Not just say,
Exactly.
well, we're gonna do the same thing back,
Exactly.
because that's just a war.
Exactly.
And whether it's
Exactly.
money or guns, it's the same thing. The little guys like us end up paying.
Exactly. So we know we have a problems, lots of problems, but instead of fixing them, we just putting more problems over there.
More fire, more fuel
More
on the
fire
fire.
into the into the more oil into the
Yeah.
fire. Exactly. So
Yeah.
why we are doing this? What good come from that? Nothing.
No good for me and you. That's for
Nothing.
sure.
So I know Trump is kind of, you know, he's always over everything, do a little bit over to
Sure,
get
sure.
to what he wants.
Exaggerations and
Exactly,
stuff, sure.
just to get, you know.
Sure.
He always did that. He always, even when he was doing business,
always done that.
that was he was a good
I found
businessman.
too,
He
he's not
always
very good
exaggerates.
at explaining what he's trying to say.
Exactly, and that's the problem. You have to sit down with
JD
him.
Vance is great. JD
Oh,
Vance,
yeah, he is. I like the
he's
guy.
very, very, what's the word, Steve?
Articulate.
Articulate, thank
Yes,
you.
it is.
Whereas Trump, again, he has trouble trying to say what he's saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because he's got so many
Yes,
thoughts
so
rolling
many-
around his head or what.
exactly.
But if he could explain better, you know, what the reason for the tariffs are, and if it didn't get manipulated by the media,
By the media.
you know, because you know
Big
they're,
time.
they're leaving big pieces
time.
out.
Big time.
Maybe you know people would understand what's going on
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. So again, you know, we are right now. I hope it wanna be better for our kids, our children, our
I think the best way
grandchildren.
is we wake up our kids.
But we have to do something about it. We cannot wait to say somebody to save us.
No.
Nobody will save us.
No.
No, not in the Ottawa, not in Washington D.C.
That's right.
We have to actually do something about. And right now, it's a big question: what to do, how to do it.
And Trump, he's saving America. He's not concerned with Canada.
No,
That's not
no.
his concern.
No, we're
Exactly.
secondary for sure.
Yes.
He said,
secondary.
"Yeah, I'd like to make you the 51st state, not because he wants to take away Canada, because he wants to save Canada. But hey, if you don't want to, if you want to keep going the route you're going, that's fine. It's his attitude.
Can you imagine that nation though, the North America? Like that's a big chunk. It's bigger than Russia.
It would be,
It becomes the biggest
it
country
would
in
be
the
a pretty
world.
powerful economically, every which way you
And
can
all
think
he's
of it.
adding is one little 30 million country.
And
Oh yeah.
so, you know, and I know there's a lot of people out there opposed to Trump, but I can sometimes
40
understand
million,
it.
sorry, whatever.
But you know what?
But my point is, it might be better for us than being under Trudeau,
Ask-
Carney, or Polyev.
Ask
Again,
Albertans.
yes.
Ask Albertans what they think about it. They say, you know what? Trump take just us. You know, they are ready to go.
But we should be using that to our advantage. Instead, what we're doing is the exact opposite of what they
Right.
should be doing. They covet us and our resources.
Right.
We've got resources, we got land, we got minerals, we got the farmers, we got the beef,
Potential,
we got the
huge
mountains,
potential.
we got oil, we got gas,
Lumber.
up the yin yang.
Yeah.
And yet the national debt per capita is
Can
Canada
you
is the
imagine?
worst.
Can you
And
imagine
it's the worst. How is that possible?
what
How is
kind
that
of
possible?
resources are buried in
It's
the
not
Rocky
possible.
Mountains in Canada?
That's
That-
why.
Could you imagine how much resources are buried in the Rocky Mountains? They haven't even tapped yet.
Oh,
That's why I can understand. Even Trudeau can't destroy Canada. You know.
No.
But he made
the
it.
will of the Canadians, oh yes.
Yes, yes. So, you know, country like Canada is, you cannot destroy that. You know, there's too much potential in this
Yes.
country.
Yes.
So you must be a real evil person to do something, you know, that you make Canada, you know, like
It's like a cartoon
powerless.
criminal. Yes.
You know, yeah, a criminal. You must be a criminal
Yes.
to basically destroy this, all this potential Canada has.
Beautiful country.
Beautiful country. It's and
Resource rich, everything.
what is, you know, always first what comes, it has to be free. After that comes everything else.
Well, we got to
If-
cut it here, guys, because we're running out of time. And again, thanks again for joining us.
That was
And if
fantastic.
we have another chance, we'll have you again because I love talking to you. You're interesting. You have lots to say.
Well,
Steve,
We'll do
always,
it again.
thank you. And to you, thank you for joining us. And we will see you once again next time.
Next time.
This time, not this time with Jamie. Have a good day.